Hi there. Today, a queen for a day dream date for me that almost turned into a nightmare last week. First a thought, there's no need to explain good intentions. The ones that love you understand, and the ones that hate you have no relevancy. Cushandwisdom.com. It's quite a story today, so I'm going to leap right in, get a coffee or tea, and get ready. Here we go. I told you on September 1st that our dear friend Mira turned 97. My birthday promise to her was to take her to an opera, and not just anyone, one of the biggies. Now, I knew she loved opera, but Mira hasn't been to one since moving here from Europe and the Middle East some 40 years ago. Bizet's Carmen is, of course, the most famous opera. A fiery young woman wraps men around her finger, and then, because it's opera, she dies. So, we were very excited. Our original matinee performance was postponed because of a cast member's illness, so we went on Thursday evening instead. As Rob drove us, Mira chattered all the way downtown about the story, her favorite operas, what to expect, what to listen for. We made our way to rather cramped seats in the century-old Royal Victoria Theatre. Mira and I felt crowded on both sides, each of us, but we settled in, masks on, and enjoyed the first act. Then, just as the second act began, Mira lowered her mask and said breathlessly, "I feel sick, I need to leave." She tried to insist that I stay, as though I'd let my little friend just make her way up the aisle, cane in hand, in the dark, to get to the lobby. With whispered apologies, I cleared a path past the people in our row, got to the lobby, and got her seated in some soft armchairs that were hustled to us by the amazing staff. Then, Mira's hands began to shake violently, and she couldn't catch her breath. In between holding her hands and trying to calm her, to steady the cup of water from which she was trying to drink, I Googled the symptoms. Answer: anxiety or panic attack. I suggested this to Mira, and she responded in short gasps, "No, not panic." Well, whatever it was not good. I called Rob and told him, "Come quick, we're going to take her to the hospital." He arrived in 10 minutes, and we began our endless ride, not to the nearest hospital, but the one closest to Mira's home, at her insistence. And then, oh no, we're on the highway, and we see about 10 vehicles, police vehicles, all lights flashing, motorcycles, SUVs getting on ahead of us. And I texted Brooke, asked her to learn what was going on the Pat Bay Highway. She couldn't find anything, but we knew it wasn't good. Never did find out what it was. So we get off at the next exit, and that means dark, windy, foggy road to the hospital. And when Mira gasped, "How much longer?" I'm telling you, we started to think we chose the wrong hospital. And later she said, yeah, so did she. So finally we pull up to the ER. A helpful commissionaire grabs a wheelchair, and I burst into the entrance, full breathless TV drama mode. I've got a 97-year-old woman having difficulty breathing, experiencing uncontrolled shaking. Except that from that moment onward, everything ripped to a stop.
Health card number, patient's name, contact person,
and on and on. And from then on, the phrase "hurry up and wait" just kept ringing in my ears. Mira was helped onto a gurney covered with 3 warm flannel blankets. I pulled up a chair next to her and sat. We were 2 of about 25 people in the ER. Probably most of them seemed to be young athletes who had suffered some kind of injuries, a reminder to us all to just stay home. At 9:30, the waiting really began, though. In the next 3+ hours, we were seen by a nurse twice. Once I tapped on some glass and asked if Mira could please get some oxygen or anything to help her breathe. I was told, "You'll have to wait till a doctor sees her." I was begged by another woman writhing on a gurney who I'd covered in a blanket if I could please ask a nurse to see her because she was in a bad way. I did, same glass, and nobody came by. For all I know, my message was never relayed. I know, everybody's busy. So where's Rob in all this? Well, he'd been taken home by our son-in-law who lives nearby in order to get another car so he could leave me one in which to get myself and hopefully Mira home later. He returned to me with a drink and snack, a charger for my phone, and a change of shoes, because my poor slippers that had braved all my dancing and running around at Lauren's wedding gave out while I was running around that night. I felt like Cinderella after the clock struck midnight. Finally, Or so I thought. At 12:40, we were brought into a small private room in the ER. There, Mira and I got her into a hospital gown, and I wrapped her up warmly again. She refused to sleep, so we talked about what she thinks the afterlife will be, religion in general, about how her Jewish husband wasn't discovered in the German work camp in which they both met when Mira was a teen. We talked about those years. We chuckled over her dear husband's sense of humor, how he told her the longest period in a woman's life is the 10 years between the ages of 39 and 40. We laughed. She rested. Well, she fell asleep for about 10 minutes as I watched her breathe. And then when she awoke with a start, she said she dreamt she died. No more sleeping. So we waited. She made me put on her jacket, sure that I was cold in my sleeveless long dress, and gave me her pearls to wear for safekeeping. Blood was taken, an ECG done. Everyone could not have been kinder. Then at 3:10, I think I finally figured out how to get the doctor to come. I went outside to add more time to my parking, and then, after running from one locked door to another, I finally was buzzed in and found the doctor with Mira. He said they could find nothing amiss in her tests. No after effects of the bronchitis earlier this year, nothing to pin these scary symptoms on. By now, Mira just wanted to go home. I helped her dress and then ran out to get the car. Luckily, the fog had lifted. We were the only people on the highway at 3:50 a.m. I told her, it's like this when I drove to work all those years. When I got Mira to her apartment, she wouldn't let me tuck her in and, never mind, stay overnight. A fiercely independent and sweetly stubborn woman. So she had a short but restful night, and we were both in full nap mode all day Friday. So for now, that's our story. How Carmen had an early and awful ending in more ways than one. She kept saying how sorry she was all the time, and I'm thinking, geez, Davis, you almost killed this woman. What were you thinking? When we talked about it Friday, she said her sons were not upset at all for me taking her to the opera. She felt totally up for it. She had looked forward to it for weeks. But it does seem that it was just so much for her, and no wonder so many people close by after years of near isolation. It was an unforgettable girls' night out for all the wrong reasons. And I won't forgive myself as gracefully as she has forgiven me. But Mira's words, thanking me for caring for her during those terrifying hours, will stay with me too. I mean, since I caused it all, you're welcome. You take it easy, and I'll be back with you here on Monday. Don't forget to ask Google or Alexa to play Drift with Erin Davis Sleep Stories. I promise you sweet dreams with a short new folk tale on the way for you tomorrow from India.